Welcome to the Carols of Christmas. Each day leading up to Christmas, I will talk about a particular Christmas carol, explaining some of the history and background behind the carol, and then finally, I will sing a verse of it for you. Some will be familiar, and some probably not, but they all point us toward the true reason for the season, our Savior, Jesus Christ. My name is Michael DeYoung, and today we have the Huron Carol. Not many common Christmas carols can claim Canadian roots, but the Huron Carol, also known as "'Twas in the Moon of Wintertime," can. It can also boast being the first and oldest of all Canadian carols, having been written around 1642 by Jesuit missionary Jean de Brébeuf. At the time, he was preaching among the indigenous Hurons in Canada, and even wrote it originally in the native language of the Hurons, also called the Wendat people. In their language, they called it Ahatonia, which means Jesus is born. The Wendat tribe suffered greatly from conflicts with their neighbors and from diseases brought over by Europeans. Many of the Wendat did convert to Christianity and continued to sing this carol each Christmas season. The writer of this carol, however, was captured and killed by an enemy tribe who drove the Hurons from the land. Many years later, the Pope canonized him as the patron saint of Canada. In 1650, a group of about 300 of the Wendats traveled to a mission to seek refuge. It's located in what is now Quebec City, and the community they established is still around. They carried this Christmas carol with them, and many in Quebec adopted it. A century later, another missionary, Father de Villeneuve, wrote the carol down for the first time so that it could be shared. He wrote it down in the Hurons' native language, and it was later translated into French. A Canadian poet named Jesse Edgar Middleton wrote an English version in 1926 that fit the melody. The carol itself tells the story of the Nativity using symbols that would have been familiar to the Hurons, such as speaking of God as the Great Spirit and the wise men as great tribal chiefs. Carleton Young, who was a hymnal editor, explained, "Middleton's poem extends beyond the original French translation and tells the story of Jesus' birth into Huron everyday life, and its retelling in their folk symbols such as rabbit skin for swaddling clothes, and gifts of fox and beaver pelt for the Magi's present." Middleton's version maintains the Algonquin name for God, Gichi Manatu. The version was an interpretation, not an exact translation. Here's a more exact translation of the first part into English. "Have courage, you who are humans. Jesus, he is born. Born, it has fled, the spirit who had us as prisoner. Do not listen to it, as it corrupts our minds, the spirit of our thoughts. There are spirits coming with a message for us, the sky people. They are coming to say, 'Come on, be on top of life, rejoice. Mary has just given birth. Come on, rejoice. 3 have left such a palace. They are men of great matter.'" He paired the words with the tune from an old French song known as "Un jeune pucelle," which simply means a little maid. It appeared in print in 1926 in a publication called The New Outlook. And so here is a verse of the Huron Carol. "'Twas in the moon of winter time, when all the birds had fled, that mighty Gitche Manitou sent angel choirs instead. Before the light the stars grew dim, and wandering hunters heard the hymn. Jesus your King is born, Jesus is born, in excelsis gloria." Thank you for listening. Merry Christmas, and may God bless us, everyone.